welcome back. It's coding session time again. Bangalang. So in the last session, I was pretty stoked that we basically got, for the basic case that we are using right now, we got Boomstick working on the CPU and GPU. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I say for the basic case that we're doing now because I'm sure there are lots of ways that we could write Bangalang source code and it will crash. I know of a few ways, but basically we got it working so that all we have to do is a Boomstick init, which will initialize our GPU code. That has to happen after OpenGL initialization because our GPU code at this point is GLSL shaders, compute shaders. The next step is that we allocate some data in VRAM. You know, I kind of want to, I guess we can't do refactors since it's a custom language. But buffer data feels so generic. Let's call it triangle data. So I've allocated this triangle data. This is just a loop that initializes it to be triangles. And the next step is, here. This is our move triangles kernel. It's of type kernel T, which is a procedure type. I guess I can show that. So if we go to Boomstick here, kernel T is a procedure that takes an index and some data. So, and all we're doing is, for the data at index, we're adding a delta, which is this. Very simple. The key distinction is that it has at GLSL here, which means that it will be run on the GPU. And this is how we execute it. Boomstick.bang, we pass in our kernel and our data. So if I run this, it works. And well, let me try that again. Okay, yeah, the performance is really all over the show. I think probably especially because I'm recording. But should be able, fingers crossed, should be able to just take off this GLSL. Now this becomes a CPU kernel, and this will spread across the CPU cores instead of the GPU cores. So it should be a bit slower now. Yeah, you see it's got a slower frame rate, but that's all you have to do to change between CPU and GPU code. Well, GPU code needs to have VRAM. If we were only running this on the CPU, this would not have to be VRAM data. So that's where we're at. Super happy. Like, I feel like that's the main thing I wanted to get done in this language. So then I went through all of our Bangalang source code and all of the compiler source code, and I compiled a list. This is all the stuff that I found, bugs, features that I still want to implement, and a whole bunch of just little cleanup tasks. So we're going to try and do all of this. And I'm sure there'll be more that crop up that I haven't found yet. And once we've nailed all that stuff, I feel like the language is going to be at a really good place. I mean, this kind of stuff is really cool. Generics, variadics, nested and anonymous procs, lambdas. I'm still really not sure how to implement those, but they would be nice. The way I'm distinguishing lambdas from other procedures is, I'm not sure if this is technically what lambda means, but it needs to capture variables from the outer scope, you know, for use within. So it's kind of implicitly passing extra data into the procedure, which I have no idea how to do. So let's see what happens. Yeah. So, and up here I say test everything. So I want to start with bugs. That's why I put them at the top. And namespace labels is the first thing I want to try. So the reason for that if we go into our assembly and find init, so we have here boomstick init, right? So in the assembly, that has the label init. Okay, makes sense, I guess. But what happens if I just declare this empty procedure here? Maybe I execute it. What happens then? Wow, we get a bunch of errors. I thought that there would be an error in the compilation due to there being multiple inits defined, but it looks like it's just taken my little empty procedure and used that for init and basically never generated this. So either way, we have an issue, right? Like, these should be distinct procedures. They should be like namespaced. So instead of just saying init, you know, it should be like something like boomstick init. We're going to have to be a bit more elaborate than that, but something to name, to scope it. So then we can have multiple inits in different files and they won't conflict. That is the challenge. So how the hell do we do that? I think the first, well, let's start from main maybe. Because I think here, so we have a procedure name. So here in type checking, we do record a module and procedure name, but we give them the same thing. And I think what we're going to need to do is make them distinct. So the module name is always the module, and this, like really we're talking about the main procedure, so I'm going to give it the special name main with square brackets so it can't conflict with anything else. You know, the user could make a main procedure if they want, but my language doesn't require a main procedure. You know, it just starts executing. You know, some procedures you would need to do like main proc, you know, and then the program would start here. But in mine, you don't need to. It's kind of like JavaScript or I think Python or, you know, some of those languages where it just starts executing in the main file. So I want to do something like this. And I think in generation, we're going to also need to add a module name so we can distinguish. Like so, and then everywhere that we work with this procedure name, we're probably going to have to update it so that it works properly with this new configuration. And then whenever we want to print to assembly, we will combine these two with a dot. I mean, not in the case of anything that is in the main procedure will actually be in assembly, will be in start. So it won't, this won't need a label in assembly, but let's work through it and hopefully it makes sense. So like here, you know, we're looking at the procedures and we're trying to find the procedure with this name. Since it's just flat, and this is like all the procedures in the program, I think this key for this map is going to need to be the full name, or the qualified name, I'll call it. And I think we're going to have to get this qualified name in a lot of places. So let's make a procedure for it. Where do we put that? Maybe in program. Here, get qualified name. Pacor? Pacor? I don't think that's right. And we pass in module name and procedure name. And we return strings.concatenate. So that just concatenates with them with a, oh, that's right, this returns 2. Does it? Yeah, it has 2 returns, so like that, and then I return name. Oh, also needs that. So does this return a response and an error? Have I done this before where I just go like that? Yes, I'm not exactly sure how this stuff works, you know, because this has multiple returns. Res, which I guess is, you know, the concatenated string, and then error. But here I'm not doing anything with error, and it works. So I think I'd like to learn a bit more about how Odin handles multiple returns, because I want to eventually handle multiple returns, and I'd kind of like to see what the thinking was. Now this might seem like a bit of a waste of time to make this procedure just for this, but this will need to get more sophisticated later, but this is enough for now. Horrible import, fix that. Okay, so go back to here, get qualified name, and that needs the module name and the procedure name. So let's see where else I used module name. Again, change it here. That's getting the module, so that makes sense. Module, this is the procedure. So we say qualified name. There's this procedures list, that's modules. So there's one here. And here, I think that covers all of them. Okay. I think there's probably more to it than that. Is there anywhere where we add to this procedures? There we go. Yeah. So there is this spot here where we add procedures. So instead of just having the thing, we need to have a qualified name here also. Here. And procedure names. Okay, that's going to have to be something a bit different. Like so. Okay, so these procedure names, at the moment I'm putting just the name of the procedure here, not the qualified name, but just the simple name, I guess I can call it. Here we need the qualified name. Here we need the raw name, but we know the module name here. All of these procedures are within that module, so that's okay. We're shadowing. Say qualified main name. So then qualified name here is not shadowing. I do not like shadowing. I do not allow it in my language. So you shouldn't be able to declare one variable that replaces another variable with the same name. This should not be allowed in my language. I don't like it. It's just confusing. So here, need more than just that. This. Get the qualified name. So instead of context procedure name, we get that procedure name. And yeah, I think that procedure names do anything that changes. Module name stays the same when we do a copy, so that's all good. But if we do a copy, Oh no, this one already had module name in it. Okay. Cool. Okay, so I think that's kind of figured out. So the other thing that happens in type checking is that we create references to other procedures so we know what to generate. So like if we go to generation, program generation, so when we generate procedures, we're looping through the procedure names, which is the references, and accessing them. But again, we need to do this, which now needs to be like this. So this needs to be the raw procedure name. This needs to be the full procedure name. But in the context of like this reference, it could be a reference to a procedure in any module. So I think when we go up here, see, this is where we're getting it from. It's these references. And it's in here. I think what we need to do for these references is instead of a string, we need to have like some object, reference object, which has a module name and a procedure name, like that. That way we can store all the information we need to generate. I also don't like how we're doing this pointer to dynamic. I think what we should actually do is make a slice. I feel like that's more idiomatic in Odin. And it's actually program.reference slice, which we probably need to import. Like so. So let's call this references. That's what they are now. Okay. And let's see what we need to do here. So we probably need to get the full name, right? The qualified name. So we'll create that from here. And our generated procedure names are going to be the qualified names. This is keeping track of what we've generated so we don't generate duplicates. This also needs the qualified name, but down here, this is where we want the module name and procedure name, the separate ones. Yeah, that's right. And we've also got here a separate one that we make in the case of GLSL. Is this? No, this is the regular one. And this is the GLSL one. This is, yeah. But both of them need to have this correct thing. So what is wrong here? Just missing a comma, I think that's it. Just the error is showing up in a strange place. And here, again, we need to pass a slice. And this is saying it wants the procedure name. So this is for the static variable. I feel like this should be the qualified name. So the static variable takes on the qualified name. We're going to have to look at static variables a bit more carefully soon because they also need to be namespaced. We're starting with procedures, but let's see, we'll get to static variables later. But yeah, let's leave that there. So it's a qualified name. For now, maybe it changes later. Is there anywhere else that's got errors? Probably where we add the references. Yeah, here we go. So this needs to be program.reference. And we need the module name in here. We probably need to import program. What's going on up here? Probably because of this. Imported module. So this is where we are referencing something from an imported module. So we want this here, I believe, is the imported module name. So let's extract that out and put that here. So it has the correct module name. And down here, we want the current context module name, because this is referencing something in the current module that we don't need. Okay, let's see what happens now. I'm sure there will still be errors. Okay, some sort of segmentation fault. Very early on, so we're compiling the main module, this module here, example 01. We're getting to the procedures part. Is main procedure is null. Interesting, because we've grabbed that procedure many times before, right? Up here and here and here. And it didn't give issues then, so why is it suddenly giving issues now? Oh, maybe it's the statements actually. No, main procedure is null. But why? Qualified main name is what I expect it to be. Oh, this here is wrong. This should be here. I still don't see why that would, that should still not be null. What does this complex change? Ah, it's because that's declared up here, yeah, this thing, okay. So that's definitely an issue. Module should stay the same, so let's see if that improves things. I'm still a bit confused about why that would have been an issue, but because so here we're getting the statements from qualified main name. Here we're doing essentially the same thing, but it's getting nulled out. So it's like somewhere here we're setting to null. So where's procedure? Oh, wait a minute. It never went there. That's weird. It should go, there should be quite a few procedures getting called. But this is definitions. But still, there's a few procedures defined in this file. This one. And then down here, there's compile shader, link shaders. You know, there's a few procedures. So we were here. So why is it not? Seems like it's not finding them. Does it even go into this loop? It's like it never goes into the loop. It's like there's no statements. Qualified main name. So if we go back to here, oh, maybe it's, here we go. So this needs to be the qualified name. Yeah. Oh, this is already in programs, so we don't need to prefix. Get qualified name. Okay, so that should set up the main procedure properly so that it actually can get found. I'm surprised that it got... Okay, that didn't help. But, like, it would have to exist, right, for you to get past here. Because otherwise, what are you getting statements from if this is null? But we still get the same thing. I'm surprised that did not help anything. Main procedure is still null. Qualified main name. Oh, look. We're in a different place now. Why quarter boomstick slash core slash broomstick dot core slash broomstick? See, that's not right. That's not right at all. So in here, okay, this is one place I didn't change. When we're importing a module, so this one should also be main. So we're importing a new module. Yeah, okay, let's try that. Okay. Type check identifier. All right, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. So now, so this is probably not correct, right? This is not correct anymore. Procedure name, context, module name, procedure name, Core OS Linux syscall. So we need the proper name here. So we need to qualified name. I like that spelling. Qualified name, program.get qualified name. Yeah, it's with the current module because this is referring to something in the current module. Okay, and up here, we need to do something similar up here, except in this case, it's the imported module, like so. Okay, again, we need the qualified name. Qualified name like this. Voila. See how that goes. Okay, this is not happy still. So the procedure is null. The qualified name is Core OS Linux mutex lock. I wonder why that's not in there. What is our current node? Node, so identifier node is the futex definition. So I'm a little bit confused why, because this should be this. That should be that. Is that also the issue here? Yes. Because this is the current procedure. This is the procedure that we're just referring to in the identifier. That's what we actually want. Okay. Let's see if that got us any further. What's our qualified name here? Import. So the thing with import is that it legitimately does not exist as a real procedure. Or at least, you know, it should not be prefixed. So how do we deal with this? Import, is this where we ignore them? So we never have references to import? Because currently, when we're building the program, we have this thing here to say like, hey, don't generate these. But this generation is based on references. So if we just never create a reference to import, that's another way of doing it. So if I cut that out, and instead, it'll always be here. It'll never be here because it's never going to be some other module dot import. It's just import. So if I take this and get rid of all this code, and I want to say like, this maybe we'll say we'll invert this. So it's not any of those. So if we found a static procedure, but it was not any of these, and I'm going to put my yuck here because I want to eventually not have to specify this. I mean, it would be great if we didn't have to specify any of these. Maybe we can get to that point at maybe some refactor will help us to do that later on. But this should mean that we never get references to these. So that should not be an issue anymore. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if this was all wrong. So we're generating statements. Maybe our module is null. It looks like it is. So what is the module name? Main. Okay. Because we used the procedure name here because we did not have a module name. Now we do. Got us a little bit further. So the procedure name is wrong. This needs to be the qualified name. So this will always be main. That's the main procedure. So get qualified name. Which is module name main. That should get our procedure correctly. So what's the issue now? Because the main procedure was wrong. Because this also needs to be the qualified name of the main procedure. So let's try that again. All right, now we have a whole bunch of undefined references. Hopefully that's because if we go to our procedures and look at, oh, these are like the built-in things, and it's after them and before data that we put our procedures. So there's nothing there. So our procedures are not getting generated. That's one issue. The second issue is that it looks like we're referring to them using the old labels. You know, they're not prefixed with anything. So let's go, let's put this here. This is type checking still, right? Yeah, so we're kind of in order. This is type checking, getting more specific, and then this is generation. So we're adding references. We're going through all of the modules. And for each main one, we're generating our procedures. So we should be generating them all. Did we generate the GLSL one? No, we did not. It's empty. Interesting. What the hell is going on here? We also have less strings, it feels like. The only strings we have is FPS. So I feel like those are only the strings that are appearing in the main module. I feel like we're not getting past the main module during generation somehow. Like this is not. Yeah, it does seem like we never get in there. But I mean, we must get in here, right? Is references just empty? It seems like it's empty. Generate procedures. So these are the references from the main procedure of each module. And it's like the references are always empty. This is where we add. We're using a pointer, so, I mean, yeah, we didn't change that. We just changed the name we used. This is where we add our references, so let's just make sure we're doing that correctly. So here we're adding a reference to CoreOS Linux syscall. That sounds right. That's where syscall is. I just kind of wanted to verify that CoreOS Linux, probably syscall again, no, right. But it seems fine. So context, module name, and then node value. Yeah, so that's syscall again. mmap, syscall, exit, syscall, get time of day. These all seem correct, you know, futex, syscall, and the procedure itself has the qualified name CoreOS Linux syscall. Ah, this should be the qualified name of the current. I changed this before, didn't I? But this should be the qualified name of the current procedure, and we're adding the reference to the other procedure. So this should be, yeah, current procedure, other procedure. Okay. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay. Triple start. It's still using the old names. But 2450, there's an issue. Okay. This is using the new name, but the new name has a slash in it. So this is where I said we were going to need to get a little more sophisticated in here, because our module name final module name is strings.replace all. So any slash becomes a dot. And I also actually wanted to do like module dot. And the reason for that, I think there's like another return. The reason for this is that it prevents conflicts, because if this was like a dot b and this was c, then you'd get a dot b dot c, right? And if this was, and then another place, this was a and this was b dot c, you'd also get a dot b dot c, and then you get a name conflict. So by separating with this, you prevent that conflict from happening. So let's see what happens now. Okay, move triangle is not defined because we have prefixed everything for move triangles. So it looks like everything's working except for the fact that we're just not using these new things. So let's close all these down, I think, and move on to the next step. So when we define these procedures, when we generate a procedure, we want to use the qualified name. That should be pretty simple, right? It should be a case of this taking on the module name, like so. Now we should get a lot of errors. See, because all the labels that are referring to them are still don't have a prefix. But if we find a procedure, here we go. We've got Core OS Linux module and the get time of day procedure in that module. Okay, so these look right. Now we need to go to the call site. Here, this is where we do the call, and we need to make sure that that is prefixed. So if we go to call procedure, that one should not be prefixed actually. Externs, we'll have to take a bit of care with that. But here we go. Like mutex lock, throughput wait, they should be prefixed. So I guess we can say like, if it's extern, then we do call procedure. We shouldn't need to put this in brackets because this is going to be a proper name anyway. So there's no use putting it in brackets also. So extern just stays the way it was. What are the other cases? We could be referring to it by name like we are here. And the other case is that it could be just an address, which is why I had this in brackets. So I guess the way to know that is if the procedure, no, if the location that we're talking about is an immediate, that means we are looking at a named procedure, you know, something like this. So we need to add a prefix. And then the last case means that we're looking at an address, which means we do what we previously did. So this one is still fine, and we will put it in brackets here because in this case, this is just going to be an address. It's not going to say the name, so it's useful to have the name. So we need to determine which module it's in. So if our procedure node has a child, which is a module, then we use that module name. Otherwise, we use the current module name. Maybe we can put something in here, like, I'm not sure if this is the right place, but get get module name. And what do we need to do actually? Maybe we'll do it here and then we'll split it out. Because I think we're going to use it in different places. That's why I was thinking of splitting it out. So module name initially would, I guess, be the current module name. And then if we determine that procedure node is a member and we'll like get the type of its child, first child, and if that type is a module, that's how we know if it's a member of a module. So this is saying if it's a member of a module, then module name is the name of that module. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I think we need to import program. Get qualified name using the module name, and the child location is actually going to have, well, I guess we can also say this. Maybe this is a bit of an easier way to, this feels more clear. We put the qualified name there. I don't know, let's see, does that work? Let's comment this out for now. Okay. Threading module thread pool start not defined. Because threading is not, it should be core.threading. So this is like the raw, this is the import name. Because when we import something, see, it's this name. Instead of this full name, it's just this name. So we need to get this name back. This is the proper name of the import. What am I doing? What was I starting to do? Context.program. We need to get the current module, which is this one here. And then we need to get the import from it, which has this name. And that's the module name. Sometimes when I do these long chains with maps, Odin is not happy. Okay, it seems happy enough with that one. That reduced it right down. So that seems to have worked for the most part. We've still got some compare exchange stuff here, which should not be showing up. I guess here also at the call site, we need to make sure we're not prefixing. I'm I'm kind of surprised that it is prefixing though. If we go here to the definition of compare exchange, no, it's not here, it's in type checking. Definition of compare exchange. We never say that it's static. So maybe we need to say I'm a bit unsure about whether this will actually work, but if we make them static, it still says not defined. No, it wasn't. Yeah, because allocator static should mean that I guess we haven't gone in here yet. It should mean in here allocator static should mean that we get an immediate back. I guess that's another place you could do it, right? If you do it here and just create the correct immediate for the situation, then at the call, then it'll be correct. And you don't need to do this here. But there's still the problem exists. Compare exchange. Why is that getting prefixed in the core threading module? So that'll be when it gets called. That's like in here. It's coming in. It's an immediate, that makes sense. But we haven't. Yeah, we haven't. Okay, it does make sense that it's doing that. Can we say that they are extern? No, but then it'll generate them as extern. That's what we don't want. So this didn't seem to help at all. So, I mean, I guess the easiest thing is to do in here, but then there's other places where we need them to be prefixed, right? That might be why, that's why this one's not prefixed, I think, because it's getting passed as a parameter at 575. I think that's what's probably going to be happening. Yeah, it's getting passed as a parameter to bang, which makes sense, but that needs to be prefixed, which would be happening here. But if that's happening there, that means that this location should contain the right thing already. So I think we need to take this and move it to here somewhere. I'll just chuck it here for now. And to fix this up, just go like this. So those two are identical, so I can say, like, if we're talking about an immediate or an extern, which should be an immediate. So I think, yeah, basically we're down to that. So all we did was make it so that this only appears for non-immediates, because that's the only place where it's needed. Okay, very simple change there. So we probably don't actually need this anymore. And we're going to handle it in here now. So, so if we come across a procedure, we want to do the prefixed one. I think this is going to change again when we get our stacked variables online, but let's just do it like this for now. Oh, that allocator line should be there. We need to import program. Okay, so procedure node is like just node now. And then we put qualified name in here. Let's see what happens. This is not defined. Okay, that's an extern. Are these? Well, that's compare exchange and a bunch of externs. Okay. That's a bit annoying because this is going to end up changing also. But okay. Let's just for now say like extern is on the type, isn't it? Extern is applied to the type. If I go to GL, yeah, it's part of the type. So type, it's type node directive equals extern. We just want this. Yeah, okay, so now it's just compare exchange. Oh, almost there. Compare exchange. So they're like special cases again. So where else did we do the special case? I think it was when we're generating the procedure. Probably. No. Generating the program. Oh no, it was in type checking. It was in type checking of the identifier, I believe. Here we go. Type checking of the identifier. We don't do references. And generation of an identifier. We don't do prefixes. How about that? Okay. We never generate references to these because they're like not actually really real functions, so I don't think we need that there. Okay. Whew. All right. So that took a bit of doing, but I think the assembly, that's what I wanted to look at. So now see we have like everything is nicely prefixed. All of our procedures are nicely prefixed, but our static variables are not. These ones are literals. I think they can stay like that. These guys need to be prefixed. And this one, I have to manually prefix that, but we can do that. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? This is where we might need that. Let's keep an eye on that. So the two places where this happens is, I feel like it's assignment. Type check assignment. Maybe type checking doesn't really care. I think it's more generating an assignment. Here we go. So we create the static variable. So let's put in the node to there. Maybe if we're lucky, we can just do it straight up in here. We have the static variable. Is there a way we can know the module name here? I don't think so. Maybe we'll move this back to a map. Yeah, actually that will simplify this as well. We'll move it back to a map and we'll make the key the qualified name. That could work, I think. So if if static vars becomes a map of strings to nodes, then here we can just say like if the node is not, name is not in, although this needs to be the qualified name. So we need to get program dot get qualified name context dot module name, and this guy here, it should be the current module, right? Yeah, we're declaring something. So if we're declaring something, it's in this module. So we can cut out all that and we can just say, hey, if the qualified name is not in static vars yet, then let's put it in, like so. That's much cleaner. I'm going to need this again. So here, so did I need get module name? I feel like we don't need it there. Maybe I don't need that. So now we can say static var name, and static var node is actually what we get out of the map. And instead of saying this, we use the full, this is the qualified name we're going to put everywhere. Okay, so qualified name goes in all these. Qualified name should go in the map as well, because that's what's going to get spat out here. Need to refer to it correctly. And for zero initialized ones, we also want that. Okay. And then GLSL kernels, we're going to need to manually prefix, I think. And this, we need to put with the qualified name. Okay, let's try that. Symbol blah blah not defined, because they're extern. No, they're not extern. So when we're referring to a static variable, so that's back in our identifiers. I feel like that's sorted. This, maybe not so much in this. Let's see. Okay. So we need to change this a bit again. So it's not just procedures that we prefix. It's everything. Yeah, I think it's everything, because literals do not go through this code. Literals are the only thing that I don't want to prefix. See, look at this. Everything, this needs to be worked on, but everything else is prefixed incorrectly. This is the wrong module name. This should be in vendor GL. And literals still are not prefixed, which is fine. So we have the wrong module name there. Shit, where did I do that? Was that assignment? Yeah, so the module name, is wrong. This is when we're declaring them, right? And I guess like if we go to the top, they're not prefixed. Yeah, so that's what we need to fix here. Okay, so let's fix that part first, but we need to then figure out like why are these getting the wrong module name. So this part here, It's more like first we figure out the name. I think the first part is to figure out the name, so it could be just this. Or if it's not extern and not that, then we want to prefix it. So it's a bit different to this. I actually want to cut this code out, put it in here. And we're saying that the name becomes that. We need this up here. So if it's not extern and not compare exchange, then we prefix. And now down here, I feel like this kind of stays the same as it was. Yeah, so we can see from the get changes that this is how it was originally, except now we use this name. So it might be prefixed if necessary. How's that? So now it seems to be looking for see, it's using the right prefix. But it's saying it can't find them because we're using the wrong prefix here when we define them. So this stuff I'm happy with, this stuff I'm not. I thought it would be the current module, you know? Why would it? It's not going in there? But if it's not going in there, then how are we getting all of these? Static variables. Because the static variables is looping through the static vars. Yeah, this is the special one for the GLSL kernels. And this is where we loop through them. And this is where we create them using the context's current module. So I don't see how we can, I don't see how this can happen if we're not going in here. What? This doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but is this module name somehow wrong? What happens if I go there? Qualified name. But why is it allocating? It's identifier. It's saying it's not a member? Generate program, generate statements. So it hasn't gone into a generate module, so I feel like it's doing this. And come to like here, is it vertex shader? No, GL array buffer. Okay, so what is the left-hand side? What are we actually doing here? This is the declaration. Oh, are we not setting the correct module name in the context? I think we're not updating the module. Yeah, I think what we need to do is like here say context dot module name equals module name okay, cool. That's fixed that. That was the problem. I still haven't, I don't think this was actually needed. Let's cut that out. Okay, so we're getting super close. We're at an hour 10. We have our correct prefixes now. Vendor GL for the GL stuff. These are not prefixed, which is why this is like, hey, what's going on? So we actually want this prefix to go on our GLSL kernels, and this refers to it here. Boom. All right. Yeah, GLSL kernels, GLSL kernel names, and it's referring to move triangles, which is up here. So everything's prefixed. So we should not get name collisions. Awesome. Yeah, that was a bit of a mission. It took us an hour 12. So unfortunately, I don't think we really have time to tackle any of these other things. I do think once we do get into some of these things, like a lot of them are quite small and should be quick. And then hopefully, because if we do one of these for every episode, it's going to take forever. But that's not going to be the case. We should be able to do it a lot faster than that. It's just that some of these things are quite big. You know, generics, variadics, these are big features. Nested anonymous procs, they are quite big. But we've taken care of namespace labels. One thing down. And I'm quite happy about that. That was kind of a bug that I was not happy about. You know, it was like the last, it's not the last piece of modules. I think we still have some work to go on modules. There's one other thing that I want to do. Actually, I don't think I've added that to this list. So no, I think I did actually. Cyclic imports we need to handle. Yeah, importing from libs versus local. That's the part that I wanted to take care of. Yeah, okay. Cool. All right. Pretty happy with that. Now if we do our, let's do this little test. Now there's no conflict. If we go init, so we have this, we still have our boomstick init, and here's our init from our main module. That's just an empty function. Cool. All right. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. Ciao for now.